school of UFOs says we've been wrong to ask what are they. That has not been fruitful. What we should be doing is asking what are they doing? And we can analyze what they're doing in the same way that we can analyze what anybody is doing through sociological polling of human populations. We can find out what the flying saucers are doing. So they polled human populations, and what they discovered is that what the flying saucers are doing is they are sowing disbelief in science. They cause people to not believe in scientists because scientists come up so lame when asked to explain flying saucers. It's like the flying saucer is the confounding of science in the same way that the resurrection was the complete confounding of Greek Stoicism and Democritean materialism in the Roman world. And it's conceivable, that the flying saucer, the statistics are now something like 11% of the American population have seen a flying saucer. 52% believe flying saucers are real, whatever that may mean, and so forth. So it is a faith which is percolating up from the lower levels. It's people who live in trailer courts and read Fate magazine who are the staunchest believers in this thing. But what it may be is an intercession on the part of the overmind, which it can do anything. It can do anything from our point of view. And in the most extreme version of this idea, I said, what if enormous spacecraft were to fall into orbit around this planet? And what if television images of this craft were to be beamed into every home on the planet? And then a teaching revealed some completely mind-boggling thing which you could have thought of it yourself, but you never did, which is always how these things are. And then after 30 days of melting the nuclear arsenals and causing all cancer to appear and curing all infectious diseases and delivering this message, the enormous spacecraft disappeared. 30 days. So then everybody says, my God, we have been abandoned. We have been abandoned again into time, and, history would halt. Everybody would do nothing but study the teachings of the saucer and try and figure out how we could get right with them to get them to come back. Dogmatism, theories of communication, priestcraft, the whole thing. So you see, though I'm fascinated by the flying saucer and what it says about the malleability of mind and matter, I think mature civilizations should not be haunted by messiahs or flying saucers, that these things are like metaphysical spankings imposed from on high that are designed, saying, here it's a boot in the tail, wake up, stop repressing.
Well, let's take your two ideas. It's neither one of them is that old. And what does the overmind have to do with or think of the double time stream?
Well, now that's a question I never would have asked. You mean if that's true? I sort of think of these as mutually exclusive.
Well, his two theories, the earlier one was that the overmind was injecting forces of change or conservatism into the world. The other, that events that came from, now that was from the demiurge. Is the demiurge related to the overmind?
No, I think the demiurge is like a negative expression of the overmind.
But created the universe? How did the overmind get in there to be running the earth, at least?
Well, I think of the overmind as the logos. It's the understanding and self-existence which permeates everything. And the demiurge is the force of matter and time and cosmic destiny that is always trying to lock in the logos and condition it and make it subject to the rules of the physical universe of space and time. And the logos is like something from, this is all Gnostic theology, by the way. This is just straight from the book. The logos is trying to struggle through the labyrinth of the material universe to escape, to rejoin the real source of itself, which is outside of matter. Matter is viewed as an entrapment. If any of you have read the late works of Philip K. Dick, he was probing in these areas. He was a genius. His book, Velas, is pure exegesis of his internal unravelment of what was going on. And he believed, his take on it was, he believed that from AD 69 until 1948, no time had actually passed, and that we were living in apostolic time, and that the crucifixion lay only 75 years in the past, and that the Demiurge had inserted a false history, and the Nag Hammadi manuscripts, he believed, were actually the Logos as printed letters, and that when the Nag Hammadi manuscripts were deciphered, it was like this informational creature would come alive and again be present on the earth, that the Logos, beginning in 1948, was beginning to infuse everything, and that shortly it would dissolve the illusion of the intervening 1860 years, or whatever it was, and then we would realize that the prophecy would be fulfilled and that the last days were upon us. That's right. That's right. He didn't get around to the Antichrist, to his credit, probably. Have to distinguish between Christ, the person, the teacher, and this thing called the Christos, which is this archetype of such power and force that immediately people of ill intent could get lined up behind it and impose their will. Yeah, sell love and sell forgiveness, and what a scam. And the Christos is the thing. History is ruled by the archetypes which people can generate. I mean, most people are very ordinary. I mean, your Mick Jaggers and your Henry Kissingers, they're very ordinary people, but they are able to project an archetype, and that is the thing which sets them apart. And when that reaches the kind of super intense focus that you get in a Mohammed or a Christ, well then, history is just putty in the hands of the force, not the person. The person is usually martyred in some horrible way, but the archetype draws energy to itself, and we don't understand how this process works. If there ever is developed by benevolent or malevolent forces a science of social control, it will be a science of knowing how to project archetypes, and different archetypes apparently are suitable to different times. I mean, you could almost posit an astrological theory of archetypes, but it's something about how, what's appropriate for the 1st century AD is not appropriate for the 15th. But when the archetype is appropriate, nothing can stop it. What the modern term for archetypes is paradigm, and we expect it not to be a person, not a messiah, but an idea which will save us all, and which then gives us certain affinities with mystical Judaism, where the messiah was expected in the form of an idea. And this is sort of our faith. We're messianic ideologues or something like that.